Welcome in, live with you guys right here on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. It is in-game live. Great to be with everybody. Kevin Walsh, Gabe Morency, Major League Baseball board off and running. I am known to throw my 640 picks on the card we do here, just kind of put the whole thing in. I realized there was a chance that one of the bets I put in was going to be graded before we went live. I'm glad it is, and I'm glad it was my way. Phillies to score first. Minus $1 billion, it felt like, tonight against the Nationals. But as the home team batting second each inning, got a minus 134 price on them to open this game up. It's exactly what they did. Louis Arise, welcome to the city of brotherly love with a base knock RBI in his first at-bat here for this team tonight. So good stuff, Gabe. We're off and running. We've got plenty to dip our toes into here tonight.
I'll tell you what, it's a big night on the diamond tonight. The standings are counting right now. Everybody's looking at the standings. Every game matters from here on out. There's less than 2 months left in the regular season. And, oh, yeah, Scoble makes his Los Angeles Dodger debut tonight in the Windy City against the Chicago Cubs. So there's a lot on the line tonight, Kevin. A lot of interesting games. I've got some early picks as well. I'm sort of riding the hot hand here. I'm not kind of overthinking anything. I have nothing cute to lead off with. Boston Red Sox, Sandoval's been rock solid over his last couple of starts at more than a fair price on their home field. The Atlanta Braves generally own the Marlins, right? The Braves are hot right now. They've won 5 in a row, but they generally beat the Marlins. They've beaten them 5 of the 7 times that they played this year. In others, just sort of, I can live with this price. And finally, a road team with the Minnesota Twins against a Kansas City Royal team that, can't be the happiest clubhouse right now, Kevin. Expectations were high coming into this year. Players were traded. Things have been blown up right now. Meanwhile, Minnesota, right in the middle of a playoff chase with basically every other team in the American League right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, look, the Royals thing.
And you have Joe Ryan on the hill here, too. I should throw that in there.
We don't talk a lot about the Royals stuff because, I guess, why would we? But they were a pretty popular playoff pick, understandably.
I'll confess, Kevin, I was part of that trade. I was part of that. I was part of that bandwagon, especially coming out of the WBC. Right? I like what they did in the offseason. I like what they did last year. They were just sort of building. We've seen this organization build themselves from nothing into a World Series champion before. Mm-hmm. So I've seen it, right? I sort of have confidence. This team actually knows what they're doing with contracts and players. And, they don't have a ton of money, but they know how to manage the money that they have. And they've gotten more aggressive spending the money over the last 2 years. Yeah. And, Kevin, you look at their roster. Everybody played well in the WBC. It was basically like, wow, you guys are pretty good. You know what I mean? You got this dude, you got that dude, you got Bobby Witt Jr., you got a bunch of the Italian dudes, got some Venezuelan dudes. Like, your pitching staff, massive underachievers this year. For whatever reason, they could just never get it going this year.
Yeah, 100% the case. Coming up here, and I hate doing this. I'm actually doing it in multiple spots. It is what it is, where yesterday I was on the under, Yankees-Cardinals, 20 runs. 20 runs. Well, today I'm on the over 8 in Yankees-Cardinals, so I guess prepare for a 2-1 final either way. Hunter Dobbins can be had. Unfortunately for the Yankees, so can Ryan Weathers. He's the worst starter they probably throw with any type of consistency now. One of the big things here for the Yankees, they have 3 guys that were not on this baseball team 2 days ago in this lineup. Between Garcia, who homered in his Yankee debut, Elliot Ramos coming from the Giants, and they finally did it. They actually called up their highest-rated prospect while trying to win. Not usually the Yankees style. They just wait ages until there's no hype longer around the kid, and then they disappoint. George Lombard gets the call up here tonight, Gabe. He'll bat 8th. Look for a debut. I mean, whatever. They pushed him further. It doesn't really matter, but there's going to be a lot of buzz in the Bronx tonight. Lombard is, and listen, a lot of these Yankee prospects haven't worked out. Trust me. Nobody talks about it more than me, but he's actually been called up at a time that says, oh, they actually believe in him, unlike the way a Dominguez or guys of that nature have been called up prior.
Yeah, we haven't seen a young prospect sort of provide that jolt, right? Provide a real jolt to the Yankee offense. We'll see if it comes into play. But listen, Kevin, nobody's going to feel sorry for the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? Like, seriously, no matter how many injuries that they have, but we've talked about it. Now they've lost Dalton Rushing. You talk about, like, new players on the team. So you have Scooble rolling in here, and they're out of catchers, right? They're basically, they're calling guys up. They're moving things around right now. And like I said, nobody's going to feel sorry for them. But now Will Smith and Dalton Rushing are both out for a prolonged period of time for the Dodgers. Offensively, that hurts them. They're not going to be able to replace that bat. Defensively, you'll be fine behind the plate. Okay. You bring Rovell back in. He's, popular guy in the clubhouse, he knows everybody, etc. But you're not going to be able to replace Will Smith's bat. So, like, his neck injury better get better in September, Kevin. And now Rushing is hurt right now, and you had the benefit of, like, having this young stud in Rushing. Not ideal for the Dodgers behind home plate, which is a pretty important position.
Yeah, Ben Rover can't hit, never has been able to hit, never will be able to hit. Look, the Dodgers kind of specialize in every hitter to some degree. You're like, ugh. Tommy Edman yesterday had a 3-run homer in the first inning. Tonight he's batting 8th. It's who the Dodgers are. Ben Rover does not qualify in that. Ben Rover is an out. Ben Rover will not hit better than 220. It's not going to happen. No Dodger magic they can sprinkle on him here.
I don't really want to put him. They're going to have to figure out where to put him in the lineup.
They're paying him
to
9th
me, it's
because he's terrible, which is what they should do.
I hate that, though, because you got Ohtani after that. How many times you want to keep that inning going? I almost like to bury him somehow, like squeeze him 8th. You can't really put him 7th. The other thing is you never know, right? A lot of guys put that uniform on again and suddenly start hitting or pitching well. Eric Lauer was a gas can, right? You see it often where suddenly guys just – and, we're not asking for a lot here, Kevin. Sacrifice flies. I'm not asking for 2-run game-winning home runs.
From him, you're asking for a lot. He's a career 190 hitter. All right, I'm just saying from him.
He's better than Cal Raleigh.
Now, you'll get no disagreements from me there. It is the Tariq Skubal debut.
Hey, everyone hits 190 now. It's not as bad as it used to be.
I am, and we'll talk more about this game, of course, but I played under here. I was a little surprised to see the 9. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I actually think the Cubs are an interesting money line price. Just like Hassad's been good. This is a big number on a Chicago team playing good baseball. The Dodgers are not right now playing good baseball. And the Dodgers have these stretches where they really cost people money because people go, well, they're not going to lose again. And they do. And that's now happened 4 times in a row here. And they've been accessible money line
6 of 8 as well.
3 games. The Yamamoto game, nobody was betting money line. They obviously still lost. But like people are getting hit here now, Gabe, trying to back this team.
They are, and everyone's going to, you would figure that a lot of people are going to step up tonight, but the market hasn't moved that way. The Dodgers were minus 220 at Bet365 earlier in the morning. And I was like, wow. And I compared to other books, and I was surprised at the discrepancy. Bet Online was minus 185. I saw FanDuel was like minus 190, 195. Now everybody's sort of settled in this minus 190 range, so it was, like I said, it was higher before. It's not like the number has gone up. It's come down throughout the day. Dodgers have been cold right now. But at the same point in time, like I said, this is, there's a lot of pressure on Skubal tonight, right? Like this is one of those, the baseball world is watching. The Dodgers are watching. Everybody's paying attention tonight. He's going to want to mow him down. He's never pitched at Wrigley before either. We'll hit this on the other side. Some interesting numbers that I've seen for his prop tonight.
All right, we'll get into Tariq Skubal on the live baseball board all here on SportsGrid. All right, guys, back with you right here on SportsGrid. Mets up 3-0 on the Guardians. I am on Cleveland. They have the bases loaded with nobody out. Bottom first. The score is 3-0 Mets. That's not how you want things to go, but it's how they've gone. They're off and running in the Bronx. Orioles, Angels is into the top of the third as well. A's, Reds in Cincinnati. There's plenty of baseball to come here. Boston, Chicago, Atlanta, Miami. But Gabe is right. A lot of eyes will be on Tariq Skubal making this Dodger debut. And I'll tell you, this will be the loudest August 4th start we've seen. If he's great, nobody's going to touch him. Dodgers cruise to the three-peat. If he's bad, oh boy, they better figure this out. Don't be so surprised if we start to hear Tigers are better without him. Don't just keep your ear to the ground on that one. We're not far away.
Well, this is one of these instances in which, that's what I'm saying, there's a lot of pressure because he knows the world wants to see him fail, right? People want to see this blow up. People want to see it fail, except I think a lot of Major League Baseball owners who like the narrative. They want the Dodgers to steamroll. I actually buy into that, Kevin, that I think there's about 10 owners in Major League Baseball that want the Dodgers to go undefeated in the playoffs, right? So that's their case when they walk into this, right? And everyone's going to sort of have a different agenda, but a lot of fun, right? A lot of fun. I mean, the great ones pitch well under pressure, and there's certain, this isn't his return to Detroit, right? But this is one of the bigger regular season, in-season starts that I can recall in a while, Kevin. Like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, who's the last, like, pure ace? Like, oh, yeah, wow. Andori's returning. Like, I remember Pedro Martinez returning to Montreal was a big deal in his first start back, right? Like, there's certain, like, levels to this. Like, who's the last one that's like, oh, yeah.
It's the Skeens debut. You won't like the answer, but that was the last time I remember, especially betting-wise, too, Gabe.
A lot of hype.
What do we do with the strikeout prop? Like, that's the answer to me. It was the Skeens debut, and Paul Skeens one of the most hype prospects in the history of baseball. Like, you know, that shows you this Skubal starts. It's a big deal. And by the way, it's a stop the bleeding. I'm not acting like the Dodgers. Listen, the Dodgers could lose their next 15 games, and they'd still be the favorites to win the World Series. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But you love when a guy can come up and stop the bleeding. And we'll see if that's what he can do tonight here. It'd feel real good to get this win against Chicago. Chicago are a loud bunch. They're gonna let the Dodgers hear it, Gabe, if they take the first two games of this series off them. You know that.
Yeah, and you know what was like 15.5 is now 9. And nobody's hitting any panic buttons right now. But with that being stated, the Dodgers need to win baseball games. I talked about this. They usually get roughed up on the East Coast once a year, in the Midwest, whatnot, and they get back to the West Coast and they do their thing once again. But they've lost 4 in a row. Like I said, they've lost 4 in a row. They lost 6 of 8. Like, you know, you want to dig down deeper right now. They're just not winning baseball games. And the Cubs are a good team, right? The Cubs are, you know, we're talking about a Chicago Cub team, guys, 15 games, over 500 right now. Now, I brought up Peter Crow Armstrong before to you, Kevin, about his talk about the Dodgers. And this guy just talks a lot, right? So now his latest, so he talked about how Dodger fans are jackasses and they're big phonies and he hates them and he hated going to Dodger games as a kid. And like, he's from like California. Now his latest is that like Babe Ruth didn't exist. Like it's a conspiracy theory and or that like how terrible Babe Ruth actually was in real life. And I'm thinking, good. Dodger fans already hate you. Now you're going to have Yankee fans hating you as well. I'm glad. One by one, Kevin, this dude. Oh, yeah, don't forget what he called. He ripped that girl, right? I think she was an Angel fan. Like, we'll go down the list here of this dude. Like, doesn't seem to be the nicest guy in the world, Peter Crow Armstrong, but he's not sure to voice his opinion. And the Cubs and the Dodgers always been competitive, Kevin. It's always just been one of those rivalry type of series. So, going to be a ton of energy in that stadium tonight.
Yeah, really excited to watch this play out. On the
like his debut
9.
is not coming against the Rockies or something. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, it's against Colorado and Denver. Like, it's like no, it's against the Cubs. They're riding a 4-game lose streak. Let me throw something out here, though. So strikeout prop is 7.5 tonight to the plus side. The earned runs is 1.5, but it's plus 120 to the under 1.5. It's a little bit bold because he could pitch really well and give up 2 earned runs in like 6 innings or something like that. But I'm feeling it tonight. And I also don't think they want to overuse him like right away. Like, the last thing they want to do is get this guy hurt, right? So I'm thinking he gives him 6 tonight, maybe 7. His out prop is 18.5. I decide to go with under 1.5, Kevin. I'm rolling the dice that Scooble just mows him down tonight. Under 1.5 earned runs plus 120. That was an added pick.
All right, we'll see what he can do here. So far this month, he's gone over that twice, but not in consecutive starts. And
no, 4 of his last 6, he stayed under. You have to wonder, though, a little bit about, I'm not going to use it as an excuse, but the last start, him knowing is probably the last start and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
He was great in the beginning of that game. Yes. By the way, it was only 3 runs. I'm not saying he got lit up. I'm saying for Scooble, giving up 3 runs is a lot. So odds are he'll be kind of dialed in here.
It's big. Well, if he doesn't pitch a shutout tonight, this trade's a bust. Like, let's just call it out for what it is. Like, this trade gets decided. Yeah,
that's what I've been trying to say to you.
It's going to get decided on Twitter and X tonight, Kevin, with tonight's result.
100%.
Dodgers win. Oh, God, we knew it. Why are we even playing the playoffs? Wrap it up. Yes. And or, he sucks. And, these, you know how it goes.
1,000%. What could by the way, I'll be one of the people saying that, guys. All right? You can find, I'll tell you right now.
He mows them down. Oh, wrap it up. It's over. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah. No. He comes out looking good. We're not really going to talk much baseball hour 2, honestly. We'll get to the coaches poll came out. I'm sure Gabe's trying to talk about that. We've got, the NFL's in 2 days.
Yeah, I'm going to surprise you with some of my coaches poll takes. And we've got starting quarterbacks announced for the Thursday's game.
If you surprise me, I'll be surprised. We'll get into it. Live on SportsGrid. I did have a feeling we'd get into some coaches poll, but before we do that, NFC South teams might have to stop practicing. Another torn ACL for a young defensive player in the NFC South. Jalen Walker of the Falcons. Guys,
a good
the
player.
Bucs are the only one left. I don't even like.
There, James Pierce got
crazy.
hurt too. Remember the defensive tackle out of Tennessee they took a couple of years ago? He's injured as well in their camp. It's been one
James,
just sort of.
Yeah.
It's been one.
I don't know what's going to happen with James Pierce because he's the one, Gabe, with the Rickea Jackson stuff. Like, I don't really know what his whole future is supposed to be.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, the NFC South stuff, like, sometimes people.
I think the charges got dropped, though. I think the charges might have been dropped.
Okay, yeah, it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
But I was just. But you know, sometimes
my
Gabe,
point is, Kevin, he was in camp and he got hurt, though. That was my point.
Right.
Yeah.
A division is bad, and so then the next season, everyone's like, "Oh, that division's the worst." And it's like, guys, like things change. Not the NFC South. The NFC South is bad. It will stay bad. It's a huge benefit to be the division that plays the NFC South.
So is it Tampa's division? I don't really buy into Tampa, but by default, I'm still ready to go with Carolina. They seem to be like, they got hit. They lost a linebacker. The Falcons' defense is getting killed. I don't buy into Stefanski. I don't know. I think the Saints are a year or two away still, but in this division, I think they could be competitive. But I brought this up like the odds here, Kevin, are whacked. Like, even the Falcons, I can't buy into their quarterback, so I understand this, and I don't like their coach. I keep coming back to the Panthers. I'm not a big Baker fan right now. I was a couple of years ago, but I think Baker has peaked. I think the Buccaneers are not in the wrong here. They offered him $100 million for 2 years, $50 million a year, and he felt insulted by it. And they said, fine, then, okay, don't take it. I think he brought this upon himself right now, personally. I think you see Mike Evans sort of saw, I don't really want to be here anymore. Like, this isn't going in a direction that I want it to be going in at the end of my career right now. But they do have talent, Kevin, and the division is an absolute train wreck.
I think the Bucs. This is my as of today read. I think that they're hoping they have a nice season, and I think anything short of making the NFC Championship game, they're ready to blow the whole thing up. I think they're ready to say
they will not make the NFC Conference Championship game.
Right. But
the Bucs are one of those teams, Kevin. They can win the division, but they can't beat good teams. They might hang around. You know what I mean? Like 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago. They were pretty good, like going into the playoffs. Like he was slinging the ball around. They were healthy at the wide receiver position.
It was the year they beat Philly.
Yeah. They were a threat. Yeah, they were a threat. It was like, they're not an easy team to deal with right now. But I think they peaked out. I think they peaked out. I think you look at Baker's career, guys, from being the major star, the underachiever, rock bottom, builds himself back up. There's no Super Bowl coming. I think the high peak of the Baker Mayfield story's already happened, in my opinion. But they can still win this crap-ass division.
Right. And I think Baker could have a good year. I think motivated Baker is the best version of Baker.
That's a good point as well.
But I really believe that in this loaded, listen, we'll see how it plays out, but supposed to be loaded quarterback class with a potential dead man walking in Todd Bowles, sitting duck, lame duck head coach, they might say, guys, we're going to press reset next year. We're going to pair a brand new quarterback with a brand new head coach. And Baker, if you're willing to take a deal that for us feels good, sure. But we're not going to we're not paying you 4 years when we don't think you're a 4-year, 5-year guy. And you can say that they're wrong or they're ungrateful. You, again, do whatever you want. I'm not saying Baker's going to be out of football. He's 31. What I'm saying is I think the odds are completely stacked against him returning as the Bucs quarterback.
It's hard, though, to feel for someone that turns down $100 million. In my opinion. I understand his perspective, but his feelings are hurt that they don't view him as, you're going to be here forever. Like they basically sent them that message. We will break up. We will break up, and that day could be coming sooner rather than later. But how about a 2-year offer, $50 million? That's more than market price. They just didn't give him the 4 years.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for not taking it, but the writing is on the wall. We'll be right back here on Sports. Okay, guys, back right here on SportsGrid. We've got some action live. Nothing coming up just yet. It's a 10 o'clock WNBA game tonight, standalone style. We've got some soccer coming up that I know Gabe is going to be on, but allow me to bring up for the first time. I think people are talking about a combination of the quarterback tiers list. We can do that if we want. But the coaches poll that came out, getting our first look at, some fresh 2026 college football rankings here. And I'll tell you the thing that I like, 6 different teams receiving a first place vote. Coaches poll's not gospel. That's not the point. But it shows, hey, maybe we've got ourselves a really open college football landscape this year. I think that's what people want. And that certainly was one of the things that stood out to me at first glance. Gabe, what about yourself?
Yeah, you know what? You don't want to put too much stock in the coaches poll. I mean, it's folklore about how little the coaches actually put in to these coaches polls, but this is the preseason one. And don't forget, these coaches are going to try to represent their conferences to bolster their own appearance of their strength of schedule in these coaches polls. So take it all for what it's worth. And I think when I said earlier, Kevin, that I would surprise you, I think the fact that Notre Dame don't have an official conference, they didn't get the benefit of the doubt of a bunch of votes from other coaches. The Big Ten coach is going to prop up the Big Ten. The SEC coach is going to prop up the SEC, right? Notre Dame don't have anyone to prop them up. The ACC guys aren't going to do it. So me personally, I don't think Notre Dame should be ranked 5th. I think they should be higher. Like, if we talk about, who do people think are going to be in a national championship game and the odds to win the championship, the perception coming into the season, the team schedules as well. I would have Notre Dame no lower than third, Kevin, personally.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that.
Yeah.
I think that Ohio State. I don't know why Ohio State are ranked number one. I think Indiana, if anybody,
margin.
like Indiana,
I don't
Kevin,
understand the Ohio State thing at all.
And Ohio State won? Like, come on, you got to be kidding me. And Oregon's ranked ahead of Indiana? Come on. Like, what are we doing here? What are we, like, I know you guys don't believe in Indiana. You don't want to give Cignetti his due. Believe in it, all right? Like, you can't say they're the sixth best team coming into this year. They're stacked again.
But that's what I don't understand. Ohio, like, I would say, look, Indiana are the defending champs. Great defense. Oregon have the best roster on paper.
Yeah.
How is Ohio State first? I don't and they have the most difficult schedule. I know that doesn't really factor into rankings, but the odds, I've talked about it before. Have people bought in that Julian Sayin is a superstar? Because that's really the only. And by the way, I think the offense will be good. This is not the same Ohio State defense, guys. They had 3 guys drafted in the top 12. Like, this is not this. Their defense is not as good as Indiana's, point blank, period. It's not. It's not as good as Oregon's. It's not as good as Notre Dame's. It's not as good as Georgia's. I just 38 of the votes is a little high for a team who are not the defending champions.
Yeah, like that there's some sort of consensus. Oh, yeah, they're the team to beat. I agree with you. Yeah. I don't buy into that. Like, I think it should be much more fractured and split up. Now, I get it. Indiana lost some talent as well, but they also loaded up and stacked up. And they even got more news today with Bailey coming back right now. So I thought Notre Dame and Indiana were kind of, I think Georgia, I thought Ohio State shouldn't be one. Oregon, like if I would have to say, all right, who's the number one team coming into the country? This season, I just would have put Indiana there. And that's the thing. Normally, the past year matters, right? Normally, it does. Like, it's a carryover, unless there's, like, some massive drop-off. So I thought Indiana got disrespected. Ohio State are overrated. Oregon sort of makes sense at 2, and I wouldn't, like, I could have lived with Oregon at 1 even coming into the year. Like, Oregon 1, Indiana 2 type thing. Yeah, we think these are the 2 best teams, because you just said it yourself on paper, right? They've got a stud court. Like, they're loaded at every position. Like, they're right there, this team. And then you get this SEC, a little bit of over-bias once again. Not taking anything away from Georgia and Texas, but Georgia shouldn't be ranked 3rd, in my opinion. I mean, why are Georgia ranked ahead of Notre Dame, who everyone thinks is going to win the championship or go to the championship? Why are Georgia even ranked ahead of Texas right now? Why would they be ranked ahead of Indiana? You could argue Miami were kind of undersold a little bit here, Kevin, as well. So, like I said, there's no need to lose sleep over this. Most of these teams play each other anyways.
Right, and that's a good point. And so one team, they're going to play each other. It's going to be maybe the most anticipated regular season matchup of the season. But, guys, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, Ole Miss are not better than LSU. Like that, if that were true, Lane wouldn't have left, guys. Like LSU is LSU. Let's not forget that. I understand Trinidad Chambliss was super exciting, and I'm not saying he wasn't, but guys, compare the like what are we basing the rankings on, right? And that's why, like, you're right. Like, let's not go crazy over this, but Ole Miss do not have a better roster than LSU. Yeah, Lane wouldn't have left. But that's just not how it works. The 2 best defensive players on Ole Miss last year are now on LSU.
But I'll say this, Kevin, LSU, and I want to get up the win totals right now for Ole Miss. I will say this, though, that LSU have had a better roster than Ole Miss. Like, why haven't they had a better roster?
But that's why Brian Kelly got fired, right? Right?
Like,
you're
that's
not
my
wrong,
point. Like, you know what I mean? And Lane's not very popular. Lane's not very popular with other coaches. So this is a coach's poll. Don't forget, it's a coach's poll.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go out of their way to say, oh, yeah, Lane Kiffin's got a great team. Right?
Yeah.
So like I said, a coach's poll has a little bit of an agenda behind it. Look, LSU have just been constant underachievers. Right? Constant underachievers over the last couple of seasons. The thing with Ole Miss, which is interesting, though, that let's look at the win totals here. For Ole Miss compared to Mississippi. I want to get these up. All right, here we go. Regular season. Because I like the Mississippi schedule, actually. I think it's very manageable for them to go over their number. And I like their coach. I like the fact that it's their defensive coordinator that was there before. So their win total, guys, is 7.5. It's minus 165. Isn't that interesting, Kevin, that you have the coaches poll and the media is going to come in around the same territory here? Yet the sports books are saying their win total is 7.5. Top 10 teams in the country win totals aren't 7.5, Kevin.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? You just said you don't think they're the 10th ranked team in the country. I can sort of back you up and say, yeah, their win total is 7.5. So, like, clearly the coaches and or the media have a higher opinion. And I'm not saying the sports books are better than the coaches poll, but yes, they are, because they're taking money on this.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
right. So this is different. It's not just their opinion. It's a fact. Yeah, they have to be better. There's, billions of dollars a year at stake.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting, Kevin. Yeah, they're saying, yeah, here's a 10th ranked team in the country, and the books are like, yeah, well, their win total is 7.5. And what's LSU's win total?
It's a full win higher. It's a
8.5. Yeah,
which makes
minus
the
110.
I mean, I'll serve it to you on a silver platter. The Ole Miss win total is about the same as Michigan's. I know you don't think that the Ole Miss do you think the Ole Miss roster is that much better than Michigan? Well, listen, I'm sure at some point we're going to have a long conversation about Bryce Underwood, a long one, but
yeah, about how great he is. That's the conversation. That's the conversation that we're going to have. Hey, listen, you want to talk about the most anticipated games of the year. They both go down the second Saturday, right? Incredible. From the Big Ten versus the SEC battle to the first official poll-moving games of the season, right? Mm-hmm. Michigan are going to come in. They were 16th in the coaches poll. Oklahoma were 9th in the coaches poll. I think Oklahoma are going to be 8th or 9th in the AP, whatever, coming into the year. Michigan, I think, will be a little higher. But they're playing each other. And you have Ohio State and Texas playing each other. So it's going to be decided on the field instead of like with votes or with talk show host opinions.
Can't wait for those two games. Hopefully week 1 works. Okay, guys, back right here on SportsGrid. We've got the live board right now. Not crazy movement. Boston's jumped all over Chicago. We mentioned that Grand Slam. Few games joining us, the Brewers and the Pirates. I know there are some, MLS picks we want to get to. I'll just toss this in there since we're talking a little college football, but maybe not as much for Michigan as Oklahoma, but I think without a question for Oklahoma. If Oklahoma lose at Michigan week 2, done. They're not making the playoff. There's no way, in my opinion, based on what remains for them the rest of the way. They play Georgia and Texas in weeks 4 and 5. Week 6, it'll be a bye, but and listen, I understand OU have talent. I actually think Oklahoma, talent-wise, you could say are worthy of, I don't know about top 10, but they're in that mix. I feel like John Mateer got more hype last year than this year, which is kind of puzzling to me. But they can't lose to Michigan. I just don't think they can if they want to make the playoff. If Michigan lose, here's the thing, man. The Big Ten schedule luck, like what Michigan have to play versus Penn State, is insane. Like, instead of Big Ten teams worrying about SEC and all that, Michigan fans should not be happy about what Matt Campbell gets to walk into. James Franklin's got to be kicking himself. Penn State do not play Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. They avoided the entire Big Three of the it's incredible.
It's one of the reasons why they're getting some of the love that they're getting, actually. The Phil Steeles of the world, most improved team, and bounce back and all that type of stuff. But, Kevin, I've got point spreads. This is the definition of it. And as you stated, the trajectory of both their seasons, Oklahoma beat Michigan in the Big House in Ann Arbor. Then a couple of weeks later with another couple of more wins, they're a top 5 team type deal, right? They're right there. The Michigan Whittingham era, they lost. Michigan hosted a lot of these games over the last couple of years, right? They played Texas. They've played a lot of these sort of games, and they've lost them. And they sort of sell it after. Well, all right, it's not the conference, right? It's not the Big Ten conference game. This sort of battle tested us. We don't live in that world anymore. No one really cares about that. You're playing the schedule that you're playing. It is what it is. And if you're Michigan, if you're going to make the playoffs, you can't lose more than 3 times. Just point blank, right? 9-3, and there's going to be other 9-3 teams. So it's going to come down to this and that. You can't lose more than 3 times. Michigan were in the game last year, Kevin. It should be noted, Bryce Underwood was literally like a raw 18-year-old. He had just turned 18. We also now know in hindsight the Michigan coaching staff situation and what was going on behind the scenes was not conducive to production. The kids were basically coaching themselves. They were just playing on talent. Sherrod Moore was showing up and they were just sort of running, they were going through the motions. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't good behind the scenes, and they still won 9 games. But that was Underwood's first start. Mateer is good, Kevin, but he's inconsistent, right? It's a big game for Mateer on the road, too. Heisman stuff, Underwood's career, his trajectory. The Michigan Wolverines are 2.5-point favorites. Michigan are 2.5-point favorites. Saturday, September the 12th. Michigan minus 2.5, noon Eastern. And Ohio State go to Austin, Texas, Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern. Ohio State are 1.5-point road underdogs. What are your thoughts on those opening numbers?
So I am a little surprised that Texas are not bigger favorites, but I'm just having to accept that Ohio State is viewed more favorably everywhere else relative to my eyes.
And Texas haven't proven they don't win these big games. They haven't won these big games.
I think Texas closed -3 last year in Columbus.
Which was wild.
Right, and it was wrong.
Because of the Arch Manning hype, right? Last year coming into the year.
And we didn't know about saying, and look, guys, I think the
But people have almost backed off Arch Manning a little bit this year, which I think is almost scary or good for Texas in a sense that people aren't really talking about Arch Manning all that much right now. People are kind of talking about it, but not fully.
Right.
It's not the Arch Manning show coming into the college football season like it was last year.
I would agree with that. Now, I think that game, there's going to be a lot of buzz, and if they win it, I think that's going to flip a ton. So I'm a little surprised.
NFL draft stock, Kevin, too. Let's not pretend either. All on the line, right? Manning, McKinnon, Underwood, like all these guys, like saying, like it's big time.
With Michigan, Oklahoma, I'm very curious how the line moves. So I'm someone who bet Michigan. Like, you remember the big games. I bet Michigan last year in that game. They had a chance to cover, backdoor the number. They didn't really have a chance to win it. They didn't get there. It is what it is. We're sitting here 2.5. If it gets to a 3, I'll probably talk myself into field goal, close game, worst case I push. If it just sits in this range, I may just play the under and trust Whittingham to disrupt Mateer and trust Venables to disrupt Underwood. That's my, August 4th thoughts here, Gabe, a little over a month away from those two.
And Ohio State, Texas doesn't feel like a track meet shootout either, even though people are hyping up this Ohio State offense so much, and I know they have defensive issues, but, I mean, these two teams played in the playoffs 2 years ago. What was it, 13-7 with a pick six late? Like, whatever the score was, it was a really low-scoring, battle.
I think because of the scoop and score, did it get to 21-7? I know what you're talking about in the playoff.
Like, Texas were about to tie it, remember? They were about to tie it late, and it went backwards. Bobby, I try not
to remember it. I try not to remember it. We were getting 7.5. All they had to do was not that. It was remarkable. You remember, Gabe, how the OU numbers, the Ohio State numbers kept running the year they won the title? Like, by the time they played Notre Dame, they were laying as many to Notre Dame as they did to Tennessee. And the Tennessee game was in Columbus. And I was like, what's happening here? But the books were like, no. This is a train, right?
Memories
they might have been favorites against Oregon.
Tennessee fans complaining it was too cold.
Yeah, well, guess what? You know what? If their players thought that, they'd had a better chance. The players lost that game trying to pretend it wasn't cold. There are MLS teams playing. There's no MLS games. There are MLS teams playing
Leagues
in
Cup.
the Leagues Cup. You've got, and again, I've kind of smartened up to this. Like it says 7:45. Certainly not going to start at 7:45. These games will probably start, though, in a couple minutes here. There's an 8 o'clock kick as well with Pumas in Charlotte. So what are you doing here tonight? I'm sure you're going to bet the Vancouver game late night. They're massive favorites.
Wow.
But anything with the earlier games?
Yeah, so the Leagues Cup, guys, it's the League MX versus MLS. It's a combination of 54 teams in the tournament. And so there's 54 teams in the tournament. Not every team is playing type of deal, but there's 54 of them combined. The way they split it up, so it's 3 games against MLS versus League MX teams. So they're not doing the aggregate, like 2 games or anything like that. So it's basically you play 3 games, MLS versus, and they're playing 3 different teams each and stuff. And then the top 4 teams, according to points, moves on. You get 3 points for regulation, 2 points for a penalty kick win. There's no draws. So if there's draws for betting, but after 90 minutes, they just go right to penalty kicks. So they want someone to win all the time. So it's a cool format. That's what the NHL should do, 3-2-1. So it's 1 point, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, etc. And like the MLS teams are all hosting for the most part this evening. But it's tricky, man, because the League MX, we should know too, MLS have won this like 3 years in a row now, 4 years in a row. I think the last time Mexico won this was in 2021. But the games are always in MLS stadiums. And MLS teams don't always, or the League MX teams don't always send like everybody because they got MX games in a couple of days. So like the way they did it is they're playing 3 times in a week, guys. Like the Whitecaps are playing tonight, Friday night, and Tuesday night. Tonight in Vancouver, Friday night Vancouver, and then Tuesday night they go to Mexico. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just sort of crammed in, and this tournament ends, the final is September the 6th, so it's just bang, bang, bang. And it'll be one of these tournaments, Kevin. If the Whitecaps get eliminated, I'll say it doesn't matter. And if we win, I'm going to get a banner and put it up behind me, and I'll have the hoodie and the hat. League Cup champion.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to play it, actually. Yeah, I do.
League Cup champion.
It's funny, man. I told Gabe, I was so excited for this MLS stuff, and I don't know, you kind of quickly see like why it is what it is, right? Like, there was a day here I was giving out Berhalter. He was being transferred over to England for a championship side, right? Like, you look here.
You know what, though? I went
playing these games. Like,
I went on
I'm not
Saturday.
saying the league doesn't have some fun, but
I was there, Kevin.
Lost me.
I was there Saturday. LAFC versus Vancouver, first place on the line. There was 40,000 people in the stadium. It was electric. It was a really fun, fast-paced match too. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say though that basically like half the fans were there for Son. Like he's that popular. Like. You know, the Whitecaps usually get like 27,000 type thing. And they were like, oh, we got 40,000 our first game back. It's like, no, Son got like 20,000 in his first game back. Like,
Yep.
Like, I know I was there, right? And they were very nice people, the Koreans, but they were decked out in like their gear everywhere. But it was funny, like their ohs and ahs and stuff. But no, I get it. It's one of those you gotta sift through. There's a lot of bad games. I sort of know which are the good ones. But so tonight, we've got Charlotte FC playing Pumas. Pumas are one of the better teams, as we know, in the League MX. The thing is, they've only played 3 games in League MX, so it's not like we know like a lot of their current form and stuff. Their season just started. They waited until after the World Cup. So their season just started, but Pumas have scored 7 goals already. They're the highest scoring team so far. And if you'll notice here, they're one of the few Mexican teams, Kevin, that are favorites tonight. And I don't trust the MLS teams. I don't trust the Columbus Crew tonight, like at home. Same thing with Pachuca and FC Cincinnati. I don't really trust Cincinnati as a favorite enough. I don't really trust Charlotte here as an underdog. I think Pumas probably beat them like 2-1. So I'm going to go over 2.5 goals here, guys. But we have Minnesota United hosting Juarez FC. Juarez FC so far to start the season have been getting lit up in Liga MX. They played 3 games. They've scored 1 goal, and they've conceded 7 goals. All right, so Juarez have been beat up pretty good. Now they're coming on the road, going to Minnesota United. I'm going to play Minnesota United minus 125 in regulation tonight.
All right, so there we go. A couple of MLS picks on the board. We're going to run up against the break here, guys. Skubal, the debut as a Dodger. We'll talk about it after the break. Man, I just had a crazy moment during the break. We're here with everybody on SportsGrid In-Game Live, Kevin Walsh, Gabriel Morency. And there's you develop Twitter friends. This guy, Mark, he's an Eagle fan. I saw him tweeting earlier today, CFL picks. So I just had like a mini panic. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There's a CFL game on and Gabe doesn't know. But first of all, there's no way that's true. That's my point, right? First of all, that's not possible, right? That's never happened ever. So what am I missing, here? I think they were just hitting openers. That's
gotta
really
love it, Kevin, huh? You gotta love it, huh? You see, the popularity of the league, man. I'm telling you.
I think my guy was just grabbing an Edmonton plus 3.5 earlier, a BC team total because Nathan Rourke's coming back. So
Nate Rourke's coming back this week for the BC Lions, coming off of Caden Salter's big win. We have a big showdown with Edmonton and Montreal this week. Some really good stuff that we were just talking about. September the 12th being a massive day with Ohio State going to Texas and with Michigan hosting Oklahoma, amongst other big games in that day. But those are the two those are the big ones. And the CFL announced, actually, that it's not ideal that it happens to be that same day. But it is what it is. They're playing all 4 games in one day, actually, which they haven't done since 1995. Hard to believe. So they're going to have 4 CFL games. Going to be starting at 1 o'clock all the way through to 2 in the morning type of deal.
A lot of
late night game. Perfect for me, though, Kevin, because the Montreal Alouettes visit the BC Lions at 10 o'clock Eastern, Saturday, September the 12th. I might have to miss the Hawaii game, but I'll be fine. All right, I'll see the Michigan-Oklahoma game. I'll see Ohio State and Texas. Although we'll see what the NFL schedule is looking like the following day. But football is here, guys. Football is here.
It absolutely is.
I want to get to Thursday's game. We got quarterback news, but just for the record, I'm a mark. I'm playing the Dodgers. We played them last night. We lost. We played them a couple of times over the last week or so and have lost. I haven't lost every day with them, but tonight I got a decent number earlier in the day at minus 185. So I'm playing the Dodgers to win at minus 185, and I played Scooble under 1.5 earned runs allowed tonight, plus 120. We played Pumas, FC Charlotte, over 2.5 goals. And we're playing Minnesota United to beat Juarez FC in the Leagues Cup. And I'll have some late-night MLS Leagues Cup stuff later.
I am on the under in the Scooble debut. I thought the 9 was a little generous. Again, it doesn't look like a ripping Wrigley. So Assad's been good. Maybe he gets got. It happens. Scooble, maybe he gets got. It happens. But I think 9's a nice price here. Now, yesterday I had a couple bad totals yesterday, right? I tried an under here. It would add 8 runs. There were 15 runs in the game. But I'm on an under 9. And I'll mention this now because I don't want to forget it. But I took a nice plus money shot on the Rockies to score first against the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, plus 165 is better actually than the Rockies money line, which is part of the reason I did it. Tampa Bay just acquired Freddie Peralta. You know what I wouldn't want if I just required a guy who needs to get his confidence back because he lost it in New York? For him to start in Colorado. Like, fresh start, maybe it not in course. There's nothing they can do. You got to throw the guy, right? You're here in Colorado for another day. But it wouldn't stun me if Gabriel Hughes, who's been sneaky good for the Rockies, limited innings, but sneaky good, he gets out of the first. With the way these games are, at Coors, Gabe, Rockies will be favored to score in the bottom of that inning. So I'm going to take a chance here on Colorado plating the first run at plus 165.
What are your thoughts? And I see the game about to start right now with the Toronto Blue Jays and the Houston Astros. I talked about it last night. The atmosphere with the Blue Jays in their clubhouse last night and in their dugout was relatively positive still. They got the win last night. Can they string it together? They're starting to win a little bit more than they're losing right now. They send you Savage to the hill here tonight against Wisniewski. Do you trust? I don't know if I trust you, Savage. That's the problem. I kind of get the feeling the Blue Jays are going to start winning more than they lose, though, moving forward here. I've been waiting for this streak, and it's not like I've lost a ton betting on them or anything, right? I stepped in coming out of the All-Star break a couple of times at home. It didn't work for them, but it's not too late. And oftentimes we see this, guys, where you think a team is done and they trade a couple of players and stuff, and they actually get hot and go on a run. We see this every year.
I want to reiterate to people that right now, if I were to ask someone, hey, give me your baseball predictions, division winners, wild card teams, who makes it? You'd give a lot of it with a ton of confidence. But that's not how baseball works. And whether it be a pedigree team like Toronto, I'm not kidding. I think the Detroit Tigers can make the playoffs. It's not just that they're 2.5 back. Guys, they have a better run differential than every American League team other than the Yankees. Like, they have talent. It is a shame that they had to get rid of Scooble. You could easily say they didn't have to, and I probably would agree with you at the end of that conversation. But they did. But the Tigers sneaking in, Gabe, to this American League Central really wouldn't shock me. Maybe that's disrespectful to the White Sox. I don't think it is. So, look, Toronto don't have what it takes to win the AL East. That's not on the board. Could Toronto get hot?
They're 4 games out only right now. They're 4 games out.
Yeah. And I'm not saying Toronto's my pick to do it.
Now, they have a lot of teams ahead of them, right? They do. They have a lot of teams ahead of them, but all it takes is a week and a half, 2 weeks of a nice run, and next thing you know, you jump over 5 teams.
That is... guys, I promise you right now, snapshot the division leaders. Dodgers, Brewers, Braves, Astros, White Sox, Rays. They are not all going to win their division. That's not how this sport works. The Red Sox were dead in the water 6 weeks ago. huge, huge favorites to miss the postseason. They are now monster favorites to make the postseason.
It's unbelievable.
But you could argue, Gabe, that
they have
Boston,
a 4-game cushion right now.
But Gabe, 4 games, like we just said, 4 is not a lot for Toronto to be back. So is 4 a lot for Boston to be up? Not necessarily. And I'm not sitting here telling you I think Boston are going to miss the playoffs. I'm just saying, look, unless they're going to play like a 120-win team the rest of the way, there's a losing streak coming. There always is.
If you look like you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you're 4 back. That's the cutoff. We can't make an argument that the Kansas City Royals are alive at 11 games back. Right
No.
The Athletics, 11.5 games back right now. The Angels, 13.5 back. Right? Everybody else is still alive. You're 4 games back. It's the perception. Yeah, you're 53 and 60, but like I said, it doesn't sound like a lot, but they've won 60% of their last 10 games. Right? They've won 6 of their last 10, and you look at everybody else ahead of them, 6-4, 5-5, 4-6, 3-7, 6-4, 3-7. There's a lot of mediocrity ahead of them right now. So, like, if any one of these teams can still go on a run right now, but there's a lot of teams that we don't look at as playoff teams, guys, in the American League right now. I mean, if, like, doesn't feel like Baltimore 2.5.
No, but let me
They're
drive
2.5
that
out,
point
the
home.
Baltimore Orioles. 2.5 games out.
Gabe, there is not a team. So the Yankees, Red Sox, and Guardians are the only teams here who are above 500. So, yes, there are a lot of teams in front of Toronto, in front of Detroit, but they're not good teams.
Yeah.
They're not teams that are winning.
And they're all teams that are capable. Not everyone. I'm going to say Seattle are decent, right? But they are what your record says you are. Like, none of these teams are not capable of losing 5 games in a row. We'll put it
Rangers
that way.
are on a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rangers
and the Twins are on a 2-game, although I think they snapped that tonight. Tigers are on a 3-game win streak and sort of play themselves back in this despite trading Skubal. And they're a great example. You imagine you trade Skubal and you make the playoffs after?
Yes, that's why I wish they didn't trade Casey Mize. Padres had to get involved at the deadline because they always do. Sometimes I like to do a temperature check. Where are we in the NFL offseason? We are now at the point where a couple of Buffalo Bills fans are wondering how good they would be if they had Nick Sirianni. That's where we are right now
No, not
in
me.
the NFL offseason.
Not me.
I don't know. I think you just said you hope Joe Brady is Nick Sirianni.
No, I'm happy.
Kind of.
I'm happy with no, I said I sort of expect the aggression and modernness of Brady. I'm happy with the Brady hire. We could not go back doing the same thing over and over and over again with McDermott. The room needed a shakeup. There needed to be a jolt. You can make an argument about the general manager and you know, some of the moves that have been made, but at the same point in time, he's made a lot of good moves as well, right? So the team's been knocking on the door, and you know, Josh Allen said it himself. We've been knocking on the door. Eventually, you're gonna get in. They have to prove it on the field, but I'm excited about the Bills coming into this season. When I look at the landscape of the AFC, Mahomes coming back from the injury, the Chiefs will be good. I'm not dismissing them. The Broncos were a threat last year. They won a lot of close games, I know. Cincinnati, you know, but you just look at the overall picture. Buffalo are as good as anybody. They're going to get in the playoffs, Kevin. They just, you know, and anything can happen, right? Home field advantage would help, but I think McDermott coached not to lose so much, and I think Brady is going to be a lot more aggressive.
I agree. I do think McDermott is being a little undersold in that. So the postseason stuff was an issue, but you guys did win 11 games every year. And I think that type of certainty certainly can be attributed a ton to Josh, but you have now, you know, and you had to make a change, but that comes with risk. And that's fair to say. It does come with risk. I also think it comes with risk on the defense. Nobody's loved the Buffalo Bill defense during this run, right? Maybe one.
No.
But will your defense be better this year?
I think it can be.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's one thing that I think is being overblown a little bit. That people are kind of talking about the Bills defense like they're a Big 12 team or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, they're going to play in like 43, 40 games every week. I think that's a little bit extreme, and I think some new schemes can help. You have a former Buffalo Bill that's coming in, somebody that played for the organization, running the defense now as well, and Leonard. I think I like the new staff. And, you know, listen, let's not kid ourselves, right? Whatever they would have done, I mean, I understand they're going to be judged on what happens now, Kevin, but the hiring of Joe Brady was something that Josh Allen wanted, right? There were a lot of names thrown out there, and I think they wanted a fresh approach, but not an outsider coming into the room. I think that's the way they looked at it. And like I said, it's much, much looser. It's a much looser atmosphere. Now, we'll see. I mean, you can talk about atmospheres all you want, right? Or how good is the cafeteria food or all this other stuff that people like to talk about, right? Yeah. You win games or you don't, Kevin, right? That's what it comes down to.
Let me just add this to the equation, by the way. I think Buffalo win that division. I don't discuss Buffalo. Like, they're winning the division. I think they're going to win double-digit games. I think they're set up very, very well. It's about Buffalo. What Josh said, though, right? Josh does kind of sound like me after I lost 3 or 4 hands of blackjack. And someone's like, well, you should probably stop playing. Well, God, I'm probably going to get good cards this hand, right? Are they going to break through? Are they going to play in the Super Bowl? And, God, I mean, look, it feels impossible to say never during Josh's career is he going to play in a Super Bowl. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's going to be this year, guys. It doesn't mean this is their year, because I think there are other years that have felt – last year felt like, despite the fact the Pats won the division,
what we feel,
their year.
But what we feel isn't reality, right? It's perception, right? Because everybody on the ESPN panel or everybody doesn't like the defense doesn't mean the defense is going to suck, right? And also, like I said, I don't really look at Joe Brady as some sort of unknown. I know he's never been a head coach before, but I like the fact that he's won before. I like the fact that he's relatable to players. Players can talk to him. And
Mhm.
Bill players have already said that Brady has told every player on the team. What do you think you could do? Like, what's your idea? Like, how are you underused? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you feel you can help this team in a way that you weren't, or that, the previous staff, whatever. Like, he's open to ideas. Everybody's just very, that he's one of the guys, but you got to be careful with that, right? You got to be careful with that, right? You can't be too much one of the guys, and that's always that fine line. I remember I asked Kyle Turley that about Rex Ryan, and I sort of assumed. I said to Kyle, man, I imagine you'd like to play for Rex Ryan. And he goes, nah. He goes, I like Rex. He goes, I actually like him. I've had beers with him and stuff. He goes, I like Rex, but he goes, I'll tell you about Rex. He goes, you can't have a coach that wears like football jerseys of the players and stuff. And he said that. He goes, Rex is too much of a fan. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, he wants to be one of the boys too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Rex wants to go out with the defensive lineman after the game when they win, Kevin. Like, he's one of the boys. It's like, no, you're the coach. You're not one of us. Like, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Or there should be a hierarchy. You know what I mean? Right? And sort of like, NFL rooms kind of need a disciplinarian a bit, right? You need someone to sort of draw a line in the sand. Otherwise, you see a lot of players, coaches end up getting run over too much. I think Tomlin's a good example of that in Pittsburgh.
Allow me to offer up the other side, though, right? Because I don't want to just play the devil's advocate negative in Buffalo. I think this has been a very tense football team for years. I think McDermott
because
knew
of
eventually
McDermott.
what happened.
He was an uptight guy, Kevin.
And he knew it certainly wasn't going to get blamed on Josh. I mean, at some point, right? It was going to be what it was. And it was him losing his job. There's a reason Josh Allen broke down crying after they lost to Denver.
He's lucky he wasn't fired after the Kansas City Chiefs 13-second debacle.
So, and that was, how many years ago was that game? 4, 5 years ago? It's been a tense football team. So maybe they did need a loosen
After the Bengals lost in the playoffs, he's lucky he lasted as long as he did.
I am in between two major stories. One of them is the fact that Akron are auctioning off being the offensive coordinator of their program. But that's going to fall short to George Lombard Jr. homering for his first hit. Do the Yankees have a guy here now? Becomes the question. Shout out every Yankee fan who bet Louis Garcia Jr. to homer in his Yankee debut and then followed it up with betting Lombard in his Yankee debut. And hopefully you didn't parlay with Elliot Ramos, or maybe we should be clicking Ramos right now here, Gabe. Yanks up 2-0 on Cardinals. What a moment for the kid.
Big time. We talked about it earlier. You know, unbelievable about providing some energy, some excitement, right? The Yankee players are always just sort of older, worn down, and beat up all the time, right? So it's a rarity to have sort of a young prospect come up and make some noise. I wish I would have bet on the home run, although I'm just put off by this Akron story. I'm sorry, Kevin. The Yankees could have helped me last night with the win. Like, thanks for nothing. Cost me to parlay with the Liberty last night, but this Akron story is something else.
So, for anybody who has not seen it, the Akron Zips are allowing a season ticket holder to script the opening drive in their home opener. Now, there is a caveat that says, with the head coach, of course. This hasn't been done before, but we're not crazy. Well, I don't know.
We're betting on this game, though. Like, people bet on this. There's going to be a line on this. Like, if you're a sports book, like, how do you feel about that? I mean, like, is college football, is this what we're doing now? Is it the fan control league? Isn't that, there is the fan control league. There was, remember that? There was actually where the fans called the plays. And is this what we're doing right now? So Akron need money so much that, all right, they're going to auction off. You could be our offensive coordinator for John.
Like you said, Robert Morris bulletin board material is crazy. Like,
yeah, if you're Robert Morris, we look so down on you. And Akron can't look down on anyone, just for the record.
Right.
But they look down here. We're going to let a fan, like you said, the coach is really going to, basically this is you get to sit in a room with the coach for, he's going to go, no, that's not a good idea. Like, what's the fan going to come in? Yeah, we're going to run a flea flicker reverse, like crazy ass. Like,
well, I think that's going to be the fascinating thing here is, will the fan just be happy to be there?
Yeah,
or do they come in with a plan?
Yeah, can you imagine, like, the fan comes in? I can just imagine Joe Lisi walking in with, like, a plate, like a chart. Like, all right, this is what I want to do. Like, doesn't he have an Akron jacket?
Yeah, he does. Do you know how mad Joe Lisi would be if you offered him this? He wins it, and he comes in the room, and he goes, okay, first play, we're going halfback dive, and you go, no, we're not. And you'd be like, I won. Yes, we are. Like, Lisi's going to be in the headset screaming at the quarterback, run the dive, run the dive.
Yeah, like, I just, like, you almost do it as a practical joke, actually, to just, like, scare the hell out of the coach, Kevin, whoever wins. Show up with, like, a literal playbook and drop it down. Boom. All right.
Yeah, right. I'm not messing
around. I've been going over everything. Yeah, exactly. But honestly, yeah. I mean, it's a nice little gimmick here. It is what it is. But I got to be honest. I wish I was able to call the plays for some teams that I bet on. We call the plays for the BC Lions.
You are not. Oh, man, we're going to have some nights here. Look, I'm just going to soft assume myself and Gabe will be doing a lot of primetime NFL.
All current season ticket holders are automatically entered into a random drawing for the promotion. For every new season ticket holder or current one successfully refers, they'll receive additional entries. Wow. They're really pushing this thing. All right, offensive coordinator for the game. One lucky fan will be able to script the opening drive, so not just the play. The opening drive. I like how Kevin said there's a little asterisk next to it at the bottom, the fine print, with the head coach, of course. This hasn't been done before, but we're not crazy. You kind of actually are. Extra chance to win with every new season ticket holder you refer. Random drawing among season ticket holders. Drawing will be held on August 19th. I got to be honest with you. Like, Akron season ticket holder tickets are so cheap. I almost want to buy season tickets just to enter, Kevin.
Well, you know what's funny, Gabe? If you're an Akron season
Like, how much
ticket
is an
holder,
Akron
right?
Zip season ticket like package? $100? Come on.
Well, this is my thing. You're like, all right, do we think that we're taking this season serious? Well, our head coach has been in the room with a fan, getting over
in the first game of the year. Yeah.
Not ideal. Yesterday was a great day of WNBA for us here on the show. The reason we haven't talked about it is there was only one game tonight. It's at 10 p.m. Of course, we'll re-rack all these picks before we get out of here, but Gabe's Toronto Tempo, who all of a sudden might not get over their win total. Again, these things kind of fall under the radar, understandably, but a 9-9 basketball team are now 10-19. And
Unbelievable.
The reason it's not 11 losses in a row is they were able to sneak one past the Liberty by 2. Give them credit, they won the game, but I'm just saying, and it's obviously not getting easier here tonight, Gabe, catching double digits against this Golden State team.
Absolutely destroyed by injuries, this Toronto Tempo team. They were cruising along. They were a 500 basketball team, and Brittany Sykes was having a career year. Kiki Rice was playing really, really good basketball for them. It was just too much to overcome. The lack of depth on this Toronto Tempo team was too much to overcome. Getting double digits tonight, and I have a little insight for this game tonight, but I just wanted to give a quick update. Skubal has 2 strikeouts now. So he went 1-2-3 in the first, and he just struck out the first batter in the second. And our boy, Kyle Tucker, with the home run, Kevin. 1-0 Dodgers.
Oh, there he is. Is that his third of the season?
Tucker.
I can't help myself. Now, how many is that for good old Kyle? It is incredible, man. Worst year of his career. He didn't
have a great year last year.
Yes, and yet he would be killing to have that same season.
He came into tonight with 9, yeah. So it's his 10th of the season.
Yeah,
tonight.
I didn't think it was his third home run. Am I wrong?
He's got
isn't his
51
contract
RBIs.
Not that long.
He also has 51 RBIs. His OPS is 709. Like I said, Kevin, everything's going to be judged what he does in October, bro. And even tonight, win a couple of games along the way, whatever. That's the luxury. He will be judged, though, and criticized in the playoffs. Like, he will be criticized. Like, the regular season, won't matter if he plays well, but if he doesn't play well in the playoffs, then the critics will come out.
I have a question for you. Listen, things are going to change, okay? As of today, the Kyle Tucker contract next year is $55 million, and then he has an option. And if he picks up the option, it's 2 years at $60 million per. So a 2-year, $120 deal. He'll be 31. Does Kyle Tucker pick up that option, or does he decline that option in 2 years' time?
He'll pick it up if he keeps on putting these numbers up.
Like, it's supposed to be there for him to not pick it up, right? Like, the Dodgers are going to be sitting there like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, the Dodgers don't lose out
now, and this
they don't lose.
Like, you got to.
Yeah, they don't lose out on a lot of these deals either, right? Everybody, but like I said, I'm not judging them yet. And as somebody that has the Dodgers tonight, I'm happy. Big hit, let's go. 1-0 LA.
Absolutely. Look, and again, there's so much season left for Tucker, but time will tell. So you said you had a couple of angles on the Tempo Valkyrie game. I want to hear these.
Yeah, well, what's just interesting? So Kiki Rice is back right now, and I was thinking, just randomly. I don't know how I knew this, or I didn't really know this. It was just one of these weird sort of symmetry things. I'm like, Kiki Rice played at UCLA, but I'm like, I think she's from the Bay Area for some reason. But I didn't really know. And lo and behold, yeah, she's from San Francisco. Right? So it's just one of those weird, you know things without knowing things that you know type of deal. And I like the homecoming games. So she's got a couple of games under her belt right now. And it's a more than manageable number at 9.5. She gets minutes when they play. They don't have a ton of scores. Mabry is very hit or miss, right? She goes off for 23 one night and 9 the next, whatever. So I'm expecting Kiki to bring it tonight, actually, and be excited in San Francisco and go over the 9.5. And a player on the Tempo, actually, that has been pretty consistent, Kevin, of going over her scoring prop is Sabally. And Sabally's number tonight is 10.5. It was 11.5 earlier in the day, so now we can get the 9.5, 10 or more, actually, at a price. But you look at her form here, bro. 13, 16, 10, 19. She's pretty consistent. Like, the Toronto Tempo players are not, but she is. Like, just Katie's sort of all over the place. She's been on a nice run as well, but as soon as you buy in, but, like, a lot, like Mabry, 18, 25, 14. Like, if you look at Mabry, guys, 8 points, 26, 14, 25, 16. Her prop is down to 16.5 tonight. She is due. Like, you look at her pattern, she's due for a 20-plus game tonight, guys. But San Francisco are a good defensive team, right?
Yeah, Mabry missed the last game, and that's what's fascinating to me, Gabe. So these teams just played the other night, 96-79 final. And that's good for 175 points. It went over the total by 11.
It's 170 tonight? What is it now?
A 170 and a half. 169 and a half, 170
came
and a
down
half.
a little bit, yeah.
I don't think the total moved 5 points because Marina's playing. I don't think you put 5, because the spread isn't that different game over game.
We've seen the Tempo can't stop anything. They can't stop anybody.
I'm going the other way, though, Gabe. I understand the last game went over, but we talk about zigzag spots, right? We're now up to 170 and a half. These Valkyrie games do not often have a ton of points in them here. If Mabry beats me, she beats me. If she leads the Tempo to a night where they score 85, then I'm cooked, and it happens. But I'm going to take my chance here that this is an under at 170 and a half in Golden State, Toronto.
Golden State last year, they were pretty consistent under bet for me, right? I caught on with their coach and, how they played, and it was a great bet. it's very sort of random now, I find, right, with the Valkyries. They could get in a track meet sometimes, and then you get those Valkyrie games, like you said, Kevin, where it's, first one to 75 wins, and they have a hard time cracking 150 in a game, right? 154 or whatnot. I think the number is what it is because just the Tempo's poorest defensive play. I mean, they've just been so bad, specifically in the paint, too. They just get racked up.
Yeah, look, I think the Tempo are a team that I get nervous about when I try doing something like this. Like the losing streak we talk about, their defense is atrocious right now. And because they are streaky offensively, I mean, they've gotten drilled now in a couple of games. Let's call it for what it is, Gabe. Atlanta by 19, Vegas by 26, the Lynx by 32, Golden State by
2-8 in their
17.
last 10 games. Yeah, they're not covering anymore.
So this is
and even a couple of times they've been hanging around at the half and stuff, but they just sort of get worn out as the game goes on. Right? There's just been a pattern. But if you look, man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, they've given up 100 or more in 4 of their 5 games. And the other one was 96. It's not good.
No, it's not. I want to throw this out there, though, Gabe. There comes a point where this team says, you know what? It's a good thing we didn't get rid of that first-round pick. Marina, if that, whatever's bothering you, let's sit down. Sykes, hey, we're excited for next year. And they should be.
I don't think she plays again.
They should be. But, Gabe, they all of a sudden, the Tempo have the third worst record in the WNBA. All of a sudden now. You get yourself a top 5 pick. Now you're talking.
Yeah. And free agency as well, right? They have money. They have money. Yeah. And they want to build up. They don't want to take this long term. They're not looking at like a long term plan. Like the Tempo want to win sooner rather than later. Like their ownership group won with the Raptors before. Tannenbaum is a very aggressive owner.
No doubt. We'll be right back here, guys. Live on SportsGrid. All right, guys, back with you on SportsGrid. Let's update the baseball board here. Yanks up 2-0 on St. Louis. The Cardinals did just have a leadoff double, though, in the top of the seventh, so maybe something cooking there. Mets still up on Cleveland 5-2. 2-1 Milwaukee grabs the lead. Dodgers, Gabe, still just 1-0 there. Not a ton of run support for Skubal, but he's pitching with a lead. Moving along pretty quickly here. 3 Ks through 2 innings, so certainly good work so far from Tariq, no doubt.
Yeah, Skubal.
2-0 Texas.
Skubal and the Dodgers up, and that's been the only hit in the game, actually. Kyle Tucker's there. It's been 1 hit in this game, so good call with the under coming in. It's at 9. I ended up pulling the trigger at under 8.5 after half an inning, so there's only been 1 run there. Blue Jays and Astros right now. Blue Jays got something going here. They got runners. And now they don't. Vladimir Guerrero just is an inning killer. He just ended the inning. So,
who else?
I actually think the Blue Jays are going to win this game, though. You get the Blue Jays right now at plus 135. Mets up 5-2 on the Guardians, Kevin. Red Sox rolling the White Sox 7-1. Braves up 1-0. We're on the Braves as well. But for me, I am on the Twins, and they are down 2-0, but I see they do have runners on first and third right now, I believe, with 1 out. So far, so good, though. We gave you 3 early baseball picks. Boston Red Sox, great start there. We talked about the Braves owning the Marlins for the most part. They've beaten them 7 of the last 10 times they played, 5 of the last 7 that they played. 1-0, low-scoring game there. We're in the top of the 7th inning. And we do have the League's Cup action going on right now. And just a quick check right now. It's been a goal-a-palooza so far early in Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
Cincinnati are up 2-1 on Pachuca at the half. Columbus Crew up 2-0 at the half right now. Charlotte and Pumas haven't kicked off yet. I like the over 2.5 in that game. And I like Minnesota, guys. We talked about to beat Juarez. They just started. We're about 4 minutes in here, Kevin. And we're scoreless in this game. I'll have some picks after. The Whitecaps coming up later. But like you said, Whitecaps all the way up to minus 371 right now.
Gabe, any reason why that Charlotte game hasn't kicked off yet? I'm seeing that was supposed to be an 8 o'clock kick. Obviously, I know they don't start on time, but they don't start 45 minutes late. I don't know if that's a weather situation, maybe.
I'm assuming it's a lightning.
Yeah. I spoke a little too soon here, Gabe. Dansby Swanson puts one into the seats. So there's Skubal's first earned run as a Dodger. Comes on a solo shot. At least it was minimal damage. Like 2 hits, 2 runs in this baseball game. That's not how that should be going.
Wow.
Right
there
now.
It is. Yeah, I got room for 1 more after that. Hey, listen, the total just popped up to 8.5 right now. But like Kevin said, this game's kind of cruising along. It's in the bottom of the 3rd right now, so there's that solo shot, gives up the run. There's only been 2 hits in this baseball game, though, so I'm not opposed if someone wanted to bet the total here at 8.5 still. I don't think this is suddenly going to open up.
Yeah, so as someone holding 9, I'm almost annoyed to hear you can get an 8.5. I feel like this should be lower.
Yeah, considering already at 2, right?
You know what I mean? Just like the way the game has kind of been going along here. We talk about streaks. Maybe Minnesota bust this inning open, but the Royals have a 2-run lead on Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins. So,
yeah,
maybe
they
something.
Did have first and third. What was going on here with that? Let me check back.
I see bases loaded now with just the 1 out, Gabe. So you might end up kind of, popping this thing open. But just to our point earlier about the streaks in the American League, you could easily argue, just to put the leagues in kind of side-by-side comparison, the wild card teams in the National League don't matter as much because the Dodgers, Brewers, and Braves are so much better than everybody else. Even if it's not the Dodgers, it'll then either be Milwaukee or Atlanta. And I think that's a fine argument to make. Guys, there are a lot of people, the odds makers, forget a lot of people, the odds makers would tell you the 2 best teams in the American League are not going to win their division. The Yankees and Red Sox have higher World Series odds than Tampa Bay and anybody else in the American League. So that's why this wild card race matters so much here, because your wild card team, you might go to Chicago and play the White Sox. And respectfully to the White Sox, they're probably not going to be favorites to win that series. it really, really is why this wild card race is so important in the AL right now.
It really is. And it also why the odds are, and like you said, they got to sacrifice Fly out of this. So they end up getting a run. 2-1 right now. Kansas City, Minnesota chips in a run here in the top of the fourth inning. So we got a baseball game going. But that's why, like we said, I mean, the White Sox been a nice season. The Guardians just do this every year where they exceed expectations, yet they never beat the Yankees in the playoffs, right? They don't. I mean, how many did the Twins? I mean, are like, the Yankees are like 45-6 or something against the Twins in the last 50 games or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can't beat them, so you almost dismiss them. I hate to dismiss everybody in the Central Division, but we kind of do. And then you get into the West.
When's the last time the Central, this is good baseball trivia, represented
I would say, though, the Red
American
Sox and the
League
Yankees. I think the odds makers got it right, Kevin, because I think they're the biggest threats as well.
When is the last time the American League Central won the AL? There's the
Royals. I'd say the Royals.
Yeah, it's the Royals or when the
ago?
Guardian. Look, at the time, the Cleveland Indians when they played the Cubs.
That's what I was going to say. But in the old Jose Mesa days and Kenny Lofton and stuff like that, right? Cleveland were like a monster. But I don't even know if the divisions were the same then, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm talking about, Gabe, the year where the Cubs finally broke through. They played Cleveland that year. So it might be a decade since the Central have won the American League. It's a long time.
Yeah,
it's a long
when did
time.
the Royals win the World Series? Doesn't feel like it was that long ago, was it?
Like 2014? I'll type it in quick here. Yeah, so 2016, Cleveland.
2016.
To be fair, Gabe, Royals went 15-14, so the Central had a little run there. They had a 3-year run.
Yeah. So listen, we're not being jerks by dismissing the Central, though. You're just backing it up. Right?
A decade. Yeah. So basically, what we're saying is the Central's already out. Get all the other picks I had. I should have just bet every team like who I thought would score first tonight. Rockies strike first against the Tampa Bay Rays in the bottom of the first inning. That's a 1-0 Colorado lead. That's a nice little plus 165.
Nice
I don't
call
know why I
earlier.
didn't do that with the Yankees. Like, I played this total. Bad pick. You know, that would have been the better way to run it. But look, it is what it is. You know, you can kind of, then I could play with the Guardians. I probably would have lost regardless. So that's all fine and well. We mentioned we were going to talk NFL, and I know we're going to get more into this, of course, tomorrow, and then Thursday we'll be here for the game. But
Pickett,
Carson Beck's going to get that start.
Super Bowl champion, Kenny Pickett, gets the call.
Oh, I do like that. I
like Kenny Pickett because I met him at the Super Bowl, actually. I thought he was a nice guy, so.
I saw him that week out in public at Raising Cane's.
Yeah, he said just sitting there by himself, eating some chicken tenders.
I decided to leave him alone. I said,
all the other Eagles were getting stopped in the casino and stuff all the time. I saw Kenny Pickett once. He was wearing like a Pitt T-shirt, bro. And I was like, you wouldn't even know this guy's like an NFL quarterback. Like if you saw him, he looked like a kid. He's small, looked like a kid. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, how you doing, Kenny? Hey, what up, Kenny? Yeah. So Kenny Pickett gets the call, and Haynes King, and then you've got Carson Beck and Keaton Slovis.
That is advantage Carolina. That is. There's no way to slice it.
And, just for an excitement factor, I don't know. You don't want to overread into it too much, but Canales is saying all the right things. Kenny's very excited to get the start. We're excited. We're looking forward to this game. Looking forward to seeing Haynes. Like, there seemed to be some enthusiasm with the Panthers coming into this.
You might have swung me. Because, last week I was thinking Arizona. I also thought Arizona might play. And again, I was obviously wrong. It's not cost me any money. I guess they have the extra game. But they were trying to present it like a quarterback battle between Brissett and Minshew. I guess since they paid Brissett, they're like, nope, not a thing, not at all. So let's not worry about these guys. Let's give this kid back as much opportunity as we can.
And let's not get Minshew hurt and suddenly be in a very bad, porous backup situation suddenly with Brissett. You don't want Carson Beck being thrown out there in week 2 or et cetera,
Yeah, it's actually one of the interesting things, guys, when you break down these Cardinals' futures, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow.
Now look at the Panthers, Kevin. Sorry, but look at the Panthers. Bryce Young not going to see the field at all.
No way, and shouldn't. But I was just going to say, Gabe, like, one of the reasons Arizona paid Brissett is they have so many players on offense that are so important. They do need a quarterback to give these guys a chance to be in a good environment.
Yeah, veteran. Just get them the damn
McBride,
ball. And they do have your running back now, too,
Harrison,
right?
Of course, Jeremiah Love.
They got the kid stud running back.
Does he play tomorrow or Thursday? Because that might get. Then I might start thinking total. Like, do they want to get him in the end zone?
Yeah, you have to. You have to give him a couple of touches.
You might get in the end zone, Gabe. I might be back on Arizona. I might be.
I want to bet. Will there be a defensive or special teams touchdown? That's going to be a prop on Thursday. Yeah, between Haynes King, Carson Beck, and Slovis, there's got to be a pick six or a scoop and score in the cards.
What do you got on the way out of here? This break sneaking up on us.
All right, so Vancouver Whitecaps are playing tonight. They're heavy favorites. I do think the Whitecaps care. They've done well in these tournaments in the past. They made it to the final of the CONCACAF Champions Cup before. They like to get trophies, so I don't think they're gonna mail this in this evening. Give me the Whitecaps minus 1.5 tonight. So Whitecaps minus 1.5 goals this evening. We have an update in the FC Charlotte game. It was lightning in the area. They're going to start at 9:22 Eastern time now. 9:22 Eastern. So late night picks for me. Whitecaps minus 1.5 at minus 130. Kiki Rice over 9.5 points to get to 10 points. And Sabali was 11.5, but it's come down right now to 10.5. So I'm just going to play her to score 10 or more and lay a little bit of juice there. But Sabali's been pretty consistent for the tempo.
Yeah, the way I'm playing that Valkyries game tonight is the under at 170.5. We got a great W slate tomorrow, so I'm excited kind of for that full menu. And then baseball-wise, And this is why I said I don't like doing this, and it's not going to work out for me probably in the Yankee game. Yesterday I was on the Padres, lost. Tonight I'm on the Diamondbacks. I think it's a cheap price on Eduardo Rodriguez against
I
Randy
agree with
Vasquez.
you with that pick.
So,
I agree with that.
yeah.
The D-backs
I'm gonna play
are
the
playing some
D-backs.
good ball. Yeah.
Yeah, they are, guys. We're right back here tomorrow with In the Game Live. We'll see you then.
The show is about to begin.
Dude, that Smiley Kaufman for 61. Wow.
Featuring Smiley Kaufman.
If you're at a local IHOP at a PGA Tour event, you might